My name's Jake Reeves, and I'm about to tell you how I lost my soul in a boxing match with a demon. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but every word of it is true. Or I guess I should say I was, 17 years old, living in a run-down part of Detroit. Boxing was my escape, my ticket out of this neighborhood. I was good at it, too. State champion in my weight class. Our local gym had closed down, so I'd been practicing in this abandoned house on Elm Street. Place was a dump, but it had space for a heavy bag, and the neighbors didn't complain about the noise. It was a Friday night. I remember because I'd turned down plans with my girlfriend to train. Golden Gloves was coming up, and I needed to be ready. The house was extra creepy that night. Shadows seemed darker, the air felt thick, but I brushed it off. I had work to do. I was halfway through my routine when I heard it. A low growl, like a dog, but wrong somehow. I stopped, my fists still wrapped, sweat dripping down my face. "Hello?" I called out. Stupid, I know. But what else do you say? That's when I saw it. Emerging from the shadows was something. It looked almost human, but stretched. Its skin was a sickly gray, and its eyes glowed red in the dim light. But what really got me were its arms. 4 of them, rippling with muscles, ending in claws that could tear me apart. I wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at me to get out of there, but my legs wouldn't move. I was frozen in place as this demon, stalked towards me. It spoke, its voice like gravel in a blender. "Jacob Reeves," it said. "I've been waiting for you." How did it know my name? My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what was happening. This couldn't be real. Maybe I'd hit my head. Maybe this was some messed-up dream. The demon grinned, showing rows of razor-sharp teeth. "This is very real, Jacob. I've come to claim what's mine." I found my voice then. "What are you talking about? What do you want?" "Your soul, of course," it said, like it was the most normal thing in the world. It was promised to me long ago. That's when it clicked. The stories my grandmother used to tell me about how my great-grandfather had made a deal with a demon to become a champion boxer, how the demon would come to collect from his descendant. I'd always thought they were just scary bedtime stories. The demon must have seen the recognition in my eyes. "Ah, so you do know? Good. That will make this easier." I don't know where I found the courage, but somehow I managed to speak. "No," I said. "I won't let you take my soul. I've worked too hard for my dreams." The demon laughed, a sound that made my blood run cold. "You think you have a choice? Your soul is mine. But I do love a good fight. So how about this? We box. If you win, you keep your soul. If I win, well, I knew it was stupid. I knew I couldn't win. But what choice did I have?" "Deal," I said. What followed was the most brutal fight of my life. The demon was fast, impossibly strong. Its 4 arms were everywhere at once, raining down blows faster than I could block. I fought with everything I had. Every technique, every dirty trick I'd ever learned. But it wasn't enough. Not even close. The last thing I remember is a massive fist coming straight for my face. Then darkness. I woke up in the hospital 2 days later. The official story is that I was jumped by a gang. Multiple fractures, internal bleeding, the works. The doctors called it a miracle that I survived. But I know the truth. I can feel it. There's something missing inside me. A hollowness that never goes away. I don't box anymore. Can't bring myself to step into a ring. The sport I once loved now fills me with a terror I can't explain. So, that's my story. A cautionary tale, I guess. Be careful what you wish for, and if you ever find yourself face to face with a 4-armed demon, just run. Trust me, your soul isn't worth the fight. My name's Alex Winters, and I'm about to tell you how my dead brother killed me. I know it sounds crazy, but I swear every word is true. It started 3 months after Mike's funeral. He was my older brother, just 19, when he wrapped his car around a tree. The cops said he'd been drinking. Mom and Dad were devastated. Me? I was angry. Angry at Mike for being so stupid. Angry at myself for not stopping him that night. I was at home alone, trying to focus on homework, but really just staring at the wall. That's when I heard it. Footsteps upstairs. Heavy, dragging footsteps. At first, I thought it was just the house settling. Old buildings make weird noises, right? But then I heard Mike's door open. His room had been shut since the funeral. No one went in there anymore. "Hello?" I called out, my voice shaking. No answer, just more footsteps. I grabbed a baseball bat from my room and slowly climbed the stairs. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. Mike's door was open. I peered inside, and that's when I saw him. Mike was standing there, but wrong. His skin was pale, almost gray. His clothes were the ones he'd been buried in, now dirty and torn. And his eyes, God, his eyes were empty. No life, no recognition. Just blank, staring at me. "Mike?" I whispered, not believing what I was seeing. "This isn't real. You're dead. You can't be here." He tilted his head like a confused dog. Then, slowly, his lips curled into a smile. But it wasn't Mike's smile. It was cold, cruel. "Alex," he said, his voice raspy and hollow. "Little brother, I've missed you." He took a step towards me. I backed away, my grip tightening on the bat. "Stay back," I warned. "You're not Mike. You can't be." He laughed, a sound that sent chills down my spine. "Oh, but I am. And I've come back for you, Alex. It's lonely where I've been. I need company." That's when he lunged at me. I swung the bat, but it went right through him like he was made of smoke. His hands, cold as ice, grabbed my throat. I fought back, kicking and punching, but it was like hitting a brick wall. Mike, or whatever this thing was inhumanly strong. As I struggled to breathe, memories flashed through my mind. Mike teaching me to ride a bike. Us fighting over the last slice of pizza. The look on his face when I caught him sneaking out to a party. "Why?" I managed to choke out. "Why are you doing this?" His grip tightened. "Because, little brother, death is hungry, and I'm just the delivery boy." My vision started to go dark. I could feel myself slipping away. With my last bit of strength, I whispered, "I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry I couldn't save you." For just a second, I saw a flicker of something in those dead eyes. Regret, sadness. But then it was gone, replaced by that cold emptiness. The last thing I heard was Mike's voice, softer now, almost like his old self. "I'm sorry too, Alex. See you on the other side." Then, nothing. I woke up in the hospital 3 days later. The doctors called it a miracle. They said I'd had some kind of seizure, stopped breathing for several minutes. No one believes me when I tell them what really happened. They say it was a hallucination, a result of grief and trauma. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am crazy. But sometimes, late at night, I hear those footsteps again. And I know, deep in my soul, that one day Mike will come back to finish what he started. So that's my story. A warning, I guess. Be careful what you wish for when you miss someone who's gone. Because sometimes the dead don't stay that way. And when they come back, they might not be the person you remember. Alex Foster has always considered himself a rational person. As a successful programmer, he was used to logic and order. But one night changed everything he knew about reality. It all started on a Friday night. Alex stayed late at work, trying to finish an important project. When he finally left the office, it was well after midnight. The streets were empty, illuminated only by the dim light of street lamps. Alex walked the familiar route home, thinking about his plans for tomorrow. Suddenly he noticed something strange out of the corner of his eye. his shadow on the sidewalk. It wasn't moving the way it should. At first, Alex thought it was just fatigue playing tricks on his perception. But when he stopped, the shadow continued to move. It slowly separated from his feet and began to rise, forming a dark silhouette in front of him. Alex froze, not believing his eyes. The shadow was an exact copy of his figure, but without details, just a black outline. It stood motionless, as if studying him. "It's not possible," Alex whispered, rubbing his eyes. But the shadow did not disappear. Suddenly it rushed at him. Alex jumped back, narrowly avoiding a collision. The shadow was fast and seemed to be able to stretch and shrink at will. Alex ran, trying to get away from his dark pursuer. But wherever he turned, the shadow followed him, sliding over the walls of houses and asphalt with unnatural ease. He ran into an alleyway, hoping to hide, but found himself in a dead end. Turning around, he saw a shadow slowly approaching, blocking the only way out. Desperately searching for a weapon, Alex grabbed a trash can lid. He swung it around, trying to fend off the shadow. "What do you want?" he shouted, throwing punches that passed through the dark silhouette with no effect. The shadow did not answer. It dodged the blows with impossible agility and then counterattacked. Alex felt a searing pain as the dark fingers of the shadow left deep scratches on his chest. The battle continued, and Alex felt himself getting weaker. His strokes became slower, and his breathing became more labored. The shadow seemed to be gaining strength. In a desperate attempt, Alex rushed forward, trying to break through the shadow. For a moment he thought he could escape, but suddenly he felt an excruciating pain in his left arm. Alex screamed as he saw his hand disappear into the darkness of the shadow. It was as if the shadow was swallowing it part by part. Blood gushed out of the wound, and the severed limb dissolved into a dark silhouette. He fell to his knees, clutching the stump to his chest. The pain was unbearable, but even worse was the horror of realizing what was happening. A shadow loomed over him, faceless and ruthless. Alex looked up, searching for some kind of explanation, some hint of the motive behind this horror. And then he saw it. Images began to appear in the dark silhouette, memories he had long since buried. He saw his past mistakes, people he had let down, moments of weakness and selfishness. Are you me?" Alex whispered, suddenly realizing. "All the things I've been trying to forget?" The shadow did not answer with words. Instead, it began to envelop him, absorbing him into its darkness. Alex felt a coldness penetrate his body, his consciousness clouding over. His last thought was the realization that sometimes the most terrifying monsters do not live in dark alleys, but in our own shadows, in the parts of ourselves that we try to ignore. The next morning, the janitor found Alex's body in the alley. The police were puzzled. There were no signs of violence on the body, except for the missing left hand. The only strange detail was an unnaturally dark shadow that seemed to envelop the body even as the sun rose high in the sky. And somewhere in the city, a new shadow began its journey, carrying all of Alex Foster's fears, guilt, and secrets, looking for a new victim trying to escape his dark side.